What's going on, Sky fans? The Chicago Sky take on the Atlanta Dream tonight. Can the Sky get back in the winning column after a disappointing fourth quarter embarrassing loss? We're going to talk about all and more right after this.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
What's going on, Sky fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this game for today. Is the Chicago Sky prepared to take on the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta? The Sky had a very disappointing loss in the last game. For the most part, through that, only scoring 2 points through the majority of the fourth quarter. And other than that, the Sky really did show a little extra wrinkles in their offense. He looked a lot better in parts of that game offensively than what they had in other games. Unfortunately, just weren't able to bring it home. You guys probably saw, was kind of pissed off after that game. And so ultimately, we're hoping that the Sky are going to have a much better performance today when they take on the Atlanta Dream. The Minnesota Lynx are a tough team, and they are a team that is one of the best teams in the WNBA, winning the Commissioner's Cup. And so the Sky are going to have to be locked in against this team because it doesn't get easy. The Sky have, over the next 4 games, have 2 games against Atlanta, 2 games against the Seattle Storm, and then 2 games against the New York Liberty, and then a game against the Las Vegas Aces. It does not get any easy. That's the Sky's rest of their schedule until the All-Star break and the extended Olympic break. So we have 2 games against the Atlanta Dream, 2 games against the Seattle Storm, 2 games against the New York Liberty, and a game against the Las Vegas Aces on July 16th. After that, we get a month off. We don't come back until August 15th against the Phoenix Mercury. So if the Sky can really play solidly over this stretch and then, use that time over the Olympic break to really kind of work on some things, right? Refine some things. I think that's going to be really good for the Sky on the second half of the season. But the Sky got to come in here prepared this game, and they have to rely on their defense heavily against a team like the Atlanta Dream. You do not want to overlook the Dream in this matchup at all, because if you do, listen, the Atlanta Dream 7-10 on the season, not a much better record than the Chicago Sky, but you don't want to take them for granted. Yes, Howard is out right now, right? I don't think she's playing in this game. I think she's going to be out for an extended amount of time. But they still have their leading scorer in Alicia Gray, and they still got Tina Charles. And you have those 2 players, that's enough to get you in it. They also have Cheyenne Parker in this game. We already know what she can be at times as well. So this is a team that is flawed in the Atlanta Dream, and is a team where the Sky's defense can dominate, but they cannot let up at all against the Atlanta Dream. If they do, it's going to get ugly. And we got to have better performances from our bench as well. I don't know what the Chicago Sky have to do to get consistent effort from the bench. We know that they have an open roster spot. Hopefully they make a decision on that sooner rather than later. But we have 2 players averaging over 14 points per game in Marina Mabry and Kennedy Carter. And then Angel Reese isn't far behind them in averaging 13 points per game. We have to rely heavily on the execution on the offensive side of the ball. We're not going to have big scoring nights, and we're not always going to shoot the ball very well, either from the field or from 3. But what we need to do in those times and in those moments is execute well. Go through some actual offense. Yes, play in transition when you have that opportunity to play in transition. But other than that, you have to perform. And you got to execute. We cannot have the number of turnovers that we've been having sometimes. Powers is both out. All right, listen. So that helps as well. We have to be locked in this game. This is not a game that the Sky can take lightly by any stretch of the imagination. And if they do, they will get busted in their face. Like, it's just no way around it, right? With the Sky's offense and how stagnant the offense has been at times, you cannot have a day off to where you don't at least execute offensively. So we're going to need this team to lock in offensively. Let's hope that they can do it. We've seen what this team is capable of, right? We all know what the Sky can do when they're locked in. They just need to be locked in more often. So if we can get better production off the bench, Dana Evans, Isabel Harrison, Diamond DeShields, if we get 1 to 2 of those players to step up, it really looks differently for the Chicago Sky. Since Lindsey Allen's come back into that starting lineup, Dana Evans is left. Kennedy Carter's also coming to the starting lineup. We get a nice amount of production from our starters, right? We just need some support from the bench because our starters can't play the full game. They can't play all 40 minutes. And so because of that, you have to be locked in. And if you're not, it's going to get ugly for you. And we've seen it get ugly for the Sky many times on this young season already. So we got to pay attention. We got to be locked in, and we just got to go. So we'll see what's going to bring. We'll see what it's going to bring, but we'll overall let's hope for the best for this team. The new point guard is really good. Their new point guard is really good. Yeah, you talking about Lindsey Allen? Lindsey Allen's been really good for us. Yeah, we got Brooklyn in the building. Says, "Yeah, what's going on, Brooklyn?" Um, but yeah, the Sky just got to be locked in for this game. And I don't want to act like it's or oversimplify it and act like, yeah, if they're just locked in, they'll win. No, if they're just locked in, they'll give themselves the best opportunity to win. But this is Atlanta Dream team that's right there with you, right? We're 6-11, they're 7-10. And if the Sky really do want to try to make the playoffs here, this is where they're going to have to try to make their moves against teams like this that are missing some key players that are susceptible to our defense. And with Ron Howard being out of this game, it comes down to when you look at the three teams fighting for the last two playoff spots, the Atlanta Dream, the Indiana Fever, and the Chicago Sky. We're all fighting for those last three playoff spots. The Sparks, the Washington Mystics, and the Dallas Wings seems like they're too far out of it, but we're only two wins above those teams, so anything can happen, especially when teams are going to get a month off because of the Olympic break. So the Sky are going to need all these wins against teams that have their own shit going on as much as they can. And if they can't, then the playoffs aren't necessarily wasn't the goal coming in here. But this is a team that we've seen that can compete. They have some heart, and so I would love to see the Sky team just continue to do what we know that they can do. I'm talking about the Atlanta point guard. Oh, okay, that's fair. But yeah, we got to get it. We got to get it together. We have to get it together. And we know what the Sky team can be, right? We've seen it. We know what they can be. We know how well Coach Spoon can coach at times. And we know how well this team can play, especially when they're playing with rhythm, especially when they let their defense turn into offense. We've seen it. And so, we're not even halfway through the season yet. We will be by the end of this period before the All-Star break. And we just got to use this to keep trying to build some momentum. We got to keep trying to build some momentum. We got to string some wins together over this time. It's going to be difficult when you look at the matchups that we have, but the Sky have the capability of doing it. You look at like where the Sky sit as a team, right? As far as like defensively, our defense is definitely our bread and butter. Now it's fallen down some, but we are the best rebounding team in the league by far. That's something that you definitely got to look at for as well. We are one of the better defensive teams in the league. We only allow 81 points per game, which isn't the lowest, but it definitely isn't the highest either. We sit right in the middle of the pack defensively in the WNBA as far as the points that we give up, and we force a lot of steals as well. So we just got to keep those things that we're doing well, and keep our head about us. And if we do, it'll go our way, right? More times than not, but it's just a refinement. The Sky team is just offensively, we are at such a deficit offensively, only averaging 79 points per game. For us to be in the games like we can be, we're gonna have to execute, and we have to play efficiently and go through our rotation. So if we can't do that, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly. Carter is starting, but Carter's starting been nice, but took off the scoring punch from the bench. Maybe go back to Dana starting. Well, you remember, Brazil, that if you were here, I did say that. Like that was one of the biggest concerns that I had, is that when we went from, or that if this was before we did it, is that we moved Kennedy Carter to the starting lineup, that we were going to miss some of that punch off the bench. And yeah, we may avoid some of the slow starts, but what does that mean for the second quarters? What it means for halfway through the third quarter, things like that. And through the first three games when she was coming off the bench, then Evans played really well scoring wise off the bench. And that's fallen back off now. So you've made this change to your starting lineup. I think you need to stay in this throughout until the Olympic break. That month that we have between the All-Star break and the end of the Olympic break, that month that we have, I really hope that that not only Sky adds some players, but they really look at changing things with their offense to try to figure out what the best matchups and things are going to be as well. So, yeah, we got to see what that was going to come down with that, and let's hope so. Booker says Dana plays better off the ball. I mean, she's solid on ball at times, but I think the type of offense that we run isn't necessarily best suited to her on ball skills. So, it again, that's just something that you got to ebb and flow as a coach, and I hope that ultimately, when it comes down to it, is that, like I said, Teresa Weatherspoon really looks at matchups and things like that over that month. That's a luxury that we have, right? And you don't get that every season. Having a month off between the season, it allows your players to get healthy again. It allows you to really, truly evaluate some things that you may not have time to really dig deep into until the offseason most times because the WNBA season is so short. So having a full month off for the Olympics right now, I really want to see the Sky use that to their advantage. I'm not just talking about the players, I'm talking about the coaches. I want to see them really get into those analytics, try to find things of, hey, this is really where we're going wrong at. We can make it a little bit better here. So I think if you do those things, we can play much better offensively in the second part of the season. Not really half, it's a little bit over halfway, but in the second part of the season, we can play much better if we just tighten up some of those little things for the Chicago Sky. And, I'm going to hold out hope that they do it. Because that's just, if you had a month to reevaluate, right, in the middle of things, keep in mind, usually in the season, like you're getting days, if you're lucky, off, right, to really reevaluate some things. You're getting a month off, a full 4 weeks off. Hope that you really reevaluate some stuff there. And maybe even Brenda Maxwell gets healthy there as well. Maybe Brenda Maxwell gets healthy. So we'll see what it comes down to with that one. If Marina shoots over 45%, we automatically win. Not automatically, but we do win. And I get it that Marina Mabry has become, the thing that a lot of people focus on because, and make no mistake about it, can't deny it. She's playing bad. I was hoping that it was just going to be a down stretch for her, but it's turning into a down season for her in a lot of ways. Still averaging some career highs for herself, right? Still leading the team in a lot of categories. So I don't want to act like it's all bad, but the efficiency, just when you actually watch the game outside of the stat sheet portion of it, she's struggling at times out there, defensively and offensively. You just want to see her make better decisions, but she's rebounding really good. She's averaging the most assists of her career as well, playing a different role than what she played last year in a different system. But she still needs to refine her game a lot. Me and Steve-O talked about how important it was for Marina Mabry to kind of make that star leap coming into the season, and can't make any case for her making it, right? She's made a step in the right direction, but she stepped back a lot as well in a couple of areas. So, we gotta get it together. I don't agree with people saying it's selfishness or anything like that. If you know Marina Mabry, she's not a selfish player at all. She's doing what's called upon her. Best believe if she's doing it, that's what the system and the coaches are asking of her, because we just don't have any other consistent scores. Kennedy Carter can be a consistent scorer, and she has been, but she's not always efficient either. So we got to figure out an offense that gets the best out of all these guys. So we'll see these ladies, I should say. We'll see what comes out of that one. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. I have a lot of faith for this game. Carter's more consistent than Mabry. If you look at the shooting splits, no, she takes more shots than Mabry, but she's not she's not always more efficient. And that's what I'm talking about, efficiency specifically here. I'm not talking about points output, because that's different, right? Somebody who puts up a lot of shots can put up a lot of points. That's why they're both averaging 14.7 points per game, but they can both do for being a lot more efficient in their game is all I'm saying. They both need to refine their efficiency. And sometimes Kennedy Carter, and she's talked about it, she's used to playing fast. And a lot of times we need her to do that. So I'm not trying to take away from that. But there are times where we need her to slow down as well, be a little bit more deliberate out there. And that can help the offense too. I'm not blaming everything on her, because it's not on her. It's not all on any player. But for the team to get better, it's going to take everybody to step up and be more efficient. And that's where those two ladies can be better at, is be more efficient. They are our scorers in that starting lineup. Angel Reese is starting to do more scoring and things like that as well. And we need that as well. And we need to get Cardoso more involved in the offense, I think, as well. That may not come till after the All-Star break, but I would really like to see her get more involved in the offense as well sometimes. So, but yeah, let's hope that that's the case. This person we bring has to have three things to fix our bench: one, playmaking to take the ball out of Dana's hands; two, shoot the three ball consistently; and three, defend at a high level. Or we need two people to cover. Well, here's the problem, Brooklyn. What you just mentioned is not a player you're probably going to get on the market in the middle of the season. That's a really big free agent acquisition. Somebody who can do all those three things is somebody who is going to be a near max level player at the WNBA level, or extremely young to where they haven't reached the point of giving the max contract yet. So unfortunately, when you're looking at what the market that the Sky are going to have to really look at as far as player wise, you're probably not going to get all three of those things. You may be able to get two of them. You may be able to get one of them at a very high level, but it's not going to be able to get all three of those things more than likely. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens in there. But all right, y'all. That's my time. I know we usually go about 20 minutes, but hey, I'm solo today. I also got to get ready to go over new player choice. I will be back after the game. C-Dub will be live during the game as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. Support C-Dub, one of the best live callers in the business. But guys, thank you. Make sure you're following the show at Chicago Sky Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, Chicago Sky Central gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, 773-270-2799 for the number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related. And I'll see you guys after.